What is up? What is good? What is popping? Is your boy Brian, the Casual Brian, with another Casual Podcast. The podcast that is brought to you by the Casual Brand, and Casual Brand pages. Excuse me, it's going to be a rough one today. Casual Brand pages, your place on the net to find all the dopest content around MMA, grappling, music production, and of course, all that jazz. Here are some of the places you can find us. I'm going to go ahead and share so you can check it out. These are some of the places you can find us on Instagram. That's the main place you want to find us. Yeah, Casual Brand. We are a niche group and we talk about subjects around, these particular interests. So if these interests interest you, then check us out. Follow us at the Casual Brand. Um, our main place that you can find us is the Casual Jazzer and the Casual Grappler. That's if I had to divide it into like one or to tightly knit sections, I would say that Jazzer Grappler. Producer is a vibrant community as well, but you can get a little bit of overlap. Music, there's music, so music and grappling. Hopefully, one day we'll get into sports in a more general sense, but right now, my heart is in grappling, and that's kind of what the whole Casual Brand is about. It's about the things that I'm passionate about, things that I want to connect people with and connect people to, and so on and so forth. So today we're talking about two things. I think two things. We might get into more, but the two main things I want to talk about are one, the great Joe Rogan debate, and two, there's a video of Gianni, a phenomenal jujitsu practitioner who, during the ADCC trials, uh, he had someone's back from a standing position, and the person spiked his head into the ground. So we want to discuss that. I don't think there's much debate over that. Everyone generally thinks it's disgusting, but I just want to talk about it. I wish I could show it, and I might be able to show it. I should have downloaded it, and then I would have been able to show it. But you know what? We'll just talk about it. Let's start first and foremost. Actually, this is what we need to start with. We're coming to you live from Facebook, my personal page, my the podcast's page, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So if you are seeing us any of those platforms, please be sure to subscribe. We would love to have you be a follower and join the community. Also, if you're listening on the podcast, thank you for listening, and please be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you may be listening on. It means the world, and it helps us to grow. All right, now all that's done. Let's get right to it. The Joe Rogan debate, the great Joe Rogan debate, if you will. This thing is crazy. This thing is really crazy, and I never thought in a million years that we would be in the place we are with respect to Joe Rogan. Um, I found out. I mean, I knew about Joe Rogan, obviously. I think many of us found out about him. Many people my age, I'll say it like that. I think if you're in your 40s, you might have known his news radio show. I never heard of it until later from his podcast, actually. But I found out about him through Fear Factor. That was the first time I ever heard of Joe Rogan. The second place I heard about Joe Rogan was UFC, but I had no idea that he had martial arts experience. So I thought it was crazy. I thought it was funny. Um, but I had no idea that he had such in-depth martial arts experience. And then the podcast, I randomly saw a clip of Jamie Foxx talking about like these parties he was going to, you know? And then I started seeing more and more clips on YouTube. And then I started checking them out and I was like, man, these are cool. These are really cool. Mostly because he had such a wide range of guests. And I think the reason why he was able to have a wide range of guests is because of who he is, a stand-up comedian, a martial arts enthusiast, and having roots with like just the Hollywood world. Now that being said, he started having guests that were not, just comedians or actors and actresses, and some real like deep thinkers. And I enjoyed that. One of my favorite podcasts still to this day is his podcast with Faraz Sarabi. I apologize if I pronounce his name wrong. I've heard recently that he's a chauvinist. I've never seen anything that he's put out that is chauvinistic. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw something that way, but I've never seen anything. But that's one of my favorite podcasts. I've listened to. It's 3 hours long, and I've listened to it at least 10 times. I love Fight Companions. I mean, the whole concept of what Joe Rogan was doing on the Joe Rogan Experience is the framework for what I did with my casual brand. It's this idea that you can be a comedian, an actor, a deep thinker, and a mixed martial artist, and all these things. And we are all these different things. We're not this one thing. One of the things with social media that sucks, that I hate it. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's wrong. It is true that if you niche down, if you pick one specific thing, it's easier for the algorithm to target an audience for you, which in turn makes it easier for you to grow faster. But when you niche down, it creates a miserable experience. So many of the people that I see doing uh, social media type experiences, influencers or whatever, they're miserable. They're miserable because you can only talk about one thing, and that sucks. Who wants to live like that? Even if you live for skateboards, that's what you do. Like, so for a good example, one of the teachers at Marcelo's, Paul, amazing, phenomenal jujitsu mind, loves to surf and loves animals. You know, he loves animals. Has three pups, cute little dogs. He loves these dogs. He loves surfing. He loves puppies. He loves dogs, and then he loves jujitsu. Why should he be forced to pick? You're limiting your life experience, and when you do that, it's garbage. So anyway, I've always loved Joe Rogan for having these long conversations too. Because another thing about Joe Rogan that I don't think people understand is that they have conversations and they don't always agree. They're not these echo chambers. He goes back and forth with people, even people that he agrees with. He goes back and forth with them, and they're conversations, and you can listen and you can decide what you feel. Now Joe is he's in a place, he's in a space, and for me it's a chicken or the egg thing. Which came first? Was it people coming for Joe that made him slowly start to become more defiant, or was he always this guy? This is something I have to ask. I mean, there's a great quote from Tim Keller that says you have to question your questions, meaning don't just think that because you think something is right. You have to wonder, why is it? Am I biased? Why is it that I want this to be right? And that's something that I do when I'm thinking something, when I'm coming up to when I'm coming to a conclusion. Why is it that I want it to be right? I would prefer Joe Rogan to not be an awful person, so I'm going to be biased. I think his approach and thought process towards COVID is selfish. It's selfish. It's short sighted, and he is not really open to information. I mean, we saw this guy recently come on, and he checked him. And this is the thing, when especially when you're coming so forcefully, you got to be open to getting checked. He got checked. You know, he was talking about the heart issue. I think myocarditis is how you pronounce it. And the guy said, you have a higher chance of getting that if you actually have COVID. And they pulled up the research. His guy, Jamie, he pulled up the research. You have to be open. That's the thing that I've always respected about the show, is that when presented with evidence to the contrary, you go with the evidence. That's another thing. I love having that format. If you're going to debate, if I like if I went on to like Candace Owens or Ben Shapiro, it's pointless to go on unless you have somebody that can like actually fact check in real time. That's one of the most amazing advancements, having Jamie. Jamie is to me the equivalent of a D-Rock. If you don't know who D-Rock is, then look him up. These people are game changers. I'm not, D Rock is the videographer who followed Gary Vee around and created the Daily V show. So Gary could be himself and not have to worry about trying to capture it like I do or anyone else. He could just be himself pure, and another guy follows him and edits it together. Brilliant. Brilliant. If you have money, I highly recommend everybody find a D Rock. Now, they're not going to be easy to find because D Rock is a D Rock. It's not just simply a videographer. You got to have somebody who has the vision. But a Jamie, find a Jamie, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know, man. It's tough. I'm hoping at the end of all of this that Joe will kind of go back. Joe, he needs to be honest with himself. He's saying that he doesn't read the comments and whatever, but he's definitely being affected by the left coming for him. And they're coming for him. Everything he does. And one thing that they do is that they take his stuff and they pull it out of context. You got to understand, man. 2 minutes, 1 minute, less than a minute, 30 seconds, 20 seconds out of a 4 hour interview, 3 hour interview. Come on. You have no context. You have no idea what they're saying. And a lot of it sounds crazy. So I listened to the Joe Rogan Jordan Peterson interview, and they played some stuff out of context, and it's just like it sounds crazy, and it's just not crazy. It's not crazy. We have to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox have to stop treating us like we can't think, and you have to start thinking for yourself, or they're going to keep giving it to you. You know, people get on TV, they turn on the TV, and they want to have people tell them what to think and then confirm it. And you confirm it by just saying, okay, this is what you told me yesterday. Is it still right? Yes. Okay, I'm good. It's pointless. And you can say Fox is bad. You can say MSNBC is bad. Whoever you think is bad, the person you're checking out is bad as well. Because they're not giving you facts. They're not giving you news. They're giving you opinions and narrative. And that's not what the news should be doing. The news should be telling us what happened and not why it happened. And whenever you get into narrative, unless you're being objective and you're saying, hey, man, this is my opinion. I'm giving it to you from my perspective with my slant, you know, Tucker Carlson, Rachel Maddow. It's all the same to me. They're all talking to you like you cannot think. Present the evidence. Don't even present it. Just have a conversation. Go back and forth. You know, so yeah, this Joe Rogan debate, man, and I tip my hat to Neil Young. I have so much respect for Neil Young because so many people are lazy. They want change, but they don't want it to cost them anything, and that's the worst. That's the worst thing in the world to me. If you want change, you need to put your 2 cents in the middle. It needs to cost you something. Stop trying to get change without it costing you anything. People who never watch Joe Rogan want it canceled. It's like, well, it doesn't matter to you because you don't watch him. You want Joe Rogan canceled? Cancel your Spotify. Cancel your Spotify. It's super simple. It's super simple. You want Joe Rogan canceled? Cancel your Spotify. But you're not going to do that because all your playlists are on Spotify. You know, you want Amazon to treat their workers better? Stop using Amazon. You're not going to do that. It's so convenient to use Amazon. You want Apple to change? Buy PC. People, people don't want change. They want to complain. They just want to complain about things, and it's because it's easy to complain. And then they want to try to cancel. Yeah, well, hashtag. I can do that. I can make a post that says hashtag delete Spotify because you're not going to delete Spotify. Hashtag support France because you're not going to support France. You're not going to send any money. You're not going to do anything. Everyone just wants to talk, and it's free to talk. Everyone has a platform. You know, nothing's to stop you from getting on Twitter or Facebook. So I think the Joe Rogan thing is kind of blown out of proportion. I do think he says crazy stuff. I think he's completely wrong on COVID, and it's disappointing. I think he's letting them turn him into a boogeyman. Out of out of a sense of like you can't control me, you know. He and he's and I to say Joe Rogan is killing people, I think it's too far. I do think he's misleading people because what he needs to say is, hey, if you want to do what I did and take what I've taken when I got COVID, you need to say you need to have this much money. That's the only thing. If you want to tell people what to do that I don't agree with, obviously, you need to tell them the financial side of it too. And you also need to explain to them that I'm rich. So I can tell my doctor this is what I want. You can't walk into an emergency room and say, "Hey, this is what I want." That's not how it works, homie. That is not how it works. So I'm disappointed in Joe, but I respect his right to say what he believes. I do think that he believes it. I was disappointed to see him not respond to fact checking, but you know, sometimes your beliefs can blind you. That's why I think it's important to have a diverse group of people that you spend time with. If you spend time with people that all think the same, then you just kind of cement that in. So anyway, I'm not going to talk more about Joe. I talked pretty much the whole doggone podcast about Joe. I think it's important though. I think that we need to really just kind of be honest. You know, Joe, I think he's wrong, flat out wrong about COVID. But I think that the left is making it worse. I think that they're making it worse. I think that the only reason why they're coming for Joe is because it's good for ratings. Same thing with Trump. It's almost like and if I really want to get super cynical, I think they want him to be bad. I think they want him to be worse, and I think they want to keep making him worse and worse and making the divide worse and worse so that they can get more and more clicks. They built Trump up. I believe they built Trump up, and he got out of control. You know, it's Frankenstein's monster for sure. But I think that's what they're doing, and they're doing it again with Joe Rogan. And people have to pick a side, and it's like, let's stop. Let's stop this. It's not. This guy does a podcast. If you don't like it, don't listen. Period. You know, counter it. Counter it. Do your research. Present it. That's all. That's all we have to do. We don't have to. We don't have to have a million followers. Do your research. Present it to the people in your community, and try to have effect and influence on the people around you. That's all you need to do. And do not sweat the rest. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Gianni. Gianni Grippo, I think is how you pronounce his name. I should know. I never really talked to the guy. I train at the same. Well, he doesn't train at Marcelo anymore. Hopefully, he'll come back. But during the ADCC trials, he took this guy's back, which is something that like I don't know why people do that. Because I've seen people do similar stuff, like with Marcelo, for instance, in ADCC, this guy fell back on him, which was just a nasty move. You know what I mean? But this guy just dove forward, essentially spiking his head into the mat, which could have really, really hurt him. I mean, we really don't know what the lasting effects of it were, but man, it's okay. I'm speaking like not seriously, but you gotta. I'm not letting go. If somebody does that to me, I'm not letting go of the choke. Not. You're going out. You're going to sleep. You are going to sleep for sure, unless they pull my arms off you, because it's just disgusting. And it's I think that while people are not taking it lightly, they are taking it lightly. You could have really ended that guy's career and forget his career. You could have completely destroyed the rest of his life. For what? A trial? No, man. It's inexcusable. To me, that guy should be banned. Period. Now they changed the rules, so I guess that it was not technically against the rules, which is like, what is that? But I think that was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. And one of the things I love about jujitsu is that it's for the most part a respectful art form. There are some places where they train a little bit harder than others. I don't want to say train a little harder. They're a little bit less considerate. You know, I'm of the personal belief like um, you should be thankful for training partners because they're offering their bodies up for you to help your art. So I'm not going to do anything that's going to try to hurt somebody. I've trained with some people that have tried to hurt me, and you know, it makes you angry. It makes you very angry. I mean, one guy, he didn't go to the school. He just was visiting, and he came by, and he did his thing, and my neck's still kind of messed up to this day. So I think it's important that we prioritize safety. I know when you compete, it's a different thing, but at the same time, man, dude, come on. I just don't know why that guy. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think I'm catching a charge. If somebody does that to my friend, I think I'm catching a charge. You got it. That guy has to realize, no, that can't happen ever again. So anyway, simple thoughts, closing thoughts. Yeah, this has been a crazy week, crazy week. But I am very excited to close on this. I have 4 guests lined up for next week, so it's going down, man. And I have a great previously recorded interview with Carrie Smith that I'm going to be releasing with the rest of the guests. I figured I'm going to wait, so I'm figuring out how I want to do this because um I'm either going to extend these to 40 minutes or I'm going to cut these up and do it in 2 parts. But be looking out starting next week for guests, which I'm very excited. I think maybe Monday I'll be by myself, and then Tuesday through Thursday I'll have guests. I don't know. I will be live Monday through Friday, but I don't know how I'm going to do with the guests because I'm not always going to have guests. So until next week, have a great weekend. If you're up north, stay warm. You know what I mean? It's going to get crazy. Stay in, get your groceries today, and get some movies ready. Get something ready to binge on Netflix. So anyway, until next Monday, have a great day. Stay safe, stay warm.